Bombard here, or you can call me silly. The Lion King is certainly everywhere nowadays, isn't it? And who can blame it? It's the highest grossing animated film of its time, it's won several awards, it's one of Disney's biggest and most popular until Frozen came along nearly 10 years later. It became one of the big inspirations for Disney's Animal Kingdom theme park, and it not only became my second favorite Disney Renaissance film, but also my 9th favorite movie of all. And this year marks its 25th anniversary and is still celebrated and is still going strong. With the only exception being a live-action remake. That is the most underwhelming and repeated remake that I was glad to enjoy these remakes over it, and that I wasn't on the hype train like most other people were. I mean, there wasn't anything in that movie that made me think differently or find better from the original. But the only things I appreciate more than I like with the remake was the casting, the reorchestrated music, a couple of different changes, and its character poster of young Nala, which I found to be very adorable. But since the remake has still left such a bad taste in my mouth, no, it's still in there. I not only had to watch real videos of lions and hyenas, because at least they're more fun to watch, but to also watch the one that started it all. And it's the powerful and epic retelling of William Shakespeare's Hamlet, or the American version of Kimba the White Lion, which has been debunked. The Lion King. The Pride Lands had come to celebrate the birth of a lion cub named Simba, who is to become the future king of Pride Rock, and his father Mufasa teaches him the circle of life. But Simba's uncle Scar wants to become the next king, and so by getting the help of his hyena friends, they cause a stampede of wildebeest to run through the gorge, using Simba as bait to lure Mufasa in. But ultimately, Scar sends his brother to his death, and Simba is made to think that he caused his father's death, and runs away. Yet while Scar rules as king with the hyenas at his side, Simba's found by a warthog named Pumbaa and a meerkat named Timon, and they both look after him through their motto of Hakuna Matata, or no worries. Years later, the Pride Lands become deserted and dry, and Simba's old friend Nala finds Simba and they fall in love. But eventually, Simba's told of what's happening at Pride Rock, and with the help of a baboon named Rafiki, the lion is reminded of his past and who he really is, and goes back to Pride Lands to confront Scar and become the true king. What else can I say about this film that everyone else hasn't? Well, I can think of a couple, but let's go over the obvious. For starters, it is certainly a big film. It's big on scope, big on visuals, big on songs, big on music. Everything felt and looked scaled up in comparison to Disney's previous films. It's all done on such a grand and epic scale that even when it came out in 3D, which was the last time I saw it in theaters, it still felt enormous. Not to mention the changes in the animation from the VHS to the special edition, which are noticeable and subtle, but really add a lot to the overall feature, and aren't as distracting or out of place. And yes, these changes are carried over to the Blu-ray editions of the movie, and no, I'm not going to talk about the Morning Report song, as I'm only going over the film as it's originally intended. But speaking of songs, all of them are pretty great, and all of them are very memorable, with the music and lyrics done by Elton John and Tim Rice. Circle of Life I enjoy very much. I Can't Wait to Be King is my favorite song in the whole film. Be Prepared is a fun villain song, and I mention more of it on my top 10 favorite animated villain songs list. Hakuna Matata is a very fun song, and I never found it to be annoying at all. And Can You Feel the Love Tonight is a pretty good love song. And no, I'm not including The Lion Sleeps Tonight as it's already a previously made song. Though I do give it credit for at least introducing me to that song, as I can see how much influence the song brings to the film, even if the music is from an old African song. Yet Elton John's renditions of these songs, which only appear on the soundtrack, yet the love song appears at the end credits, are really good, and each one has additional lyrics, with Hakuna Matata including a verse for Timon. However, the one song Elton didn't sing is Be Prepared, which makes me wonder why he didn't include that. Even the small moments that happen within the songs are fun and sometimes offer a bit of trivia, like Be Prepared has that marching of the hyenas that echoes the Third Reich, and a change in actors singing from Jeremy Irons to Jim Cummings, which you can easily tell where the change occurs. Can't Wait to Be King ends with the animals falling on each other, which is caused by Zazu and not Timon as you would think. Even the animals in Circle of Life bow because they're in the presence of the future king, not because of Pumbaa's farts making the animals faint, which makes the ones in front of them think the ones behind them are bowing. And during the Love Tonight song, Simba and Nala just tripped and rolled down, and Timon and Pumbaa weren't the cause of it. Okay, this is becoming a Lion King 1.5 review and I'm getting sidetracked. So with that said, I will say that I really like all of the characters in this movie, even Timon and Pumbaa, who of course became so well known that they got their own spin-off TV series, their own spin-off movie, their own spin-off game, appearing in various Disney advertisements for certain products, getting their own episode in House of Mouse, and more. There's even a point where they break the fourth wall, making them the only other Disney characters outside of Jiminy Cricket to do so. And they also offer some good lines and funny delivery. But where some people may find Simba as an adult the weakest, mainly for the actor voicing him, I really don't mind him and I enjoy it. But Scar to me is kind of off. Now I do love the actor voicing him and his darker side, but most of the time he comes across as a big drama queen, often acts overdramatic and really playing it up. He doesn't act all menacing or threatening very much, but when he does, it's done very well. I would have liked it if it was more of that than what we've got. Then again, that just might be his character, and if so, that's okay. Though there is a reason I didn't include him on my top 10 list of favorite Disney villains. But easily, one of the most perfect and greatest achievements of the whole film is the music by Hans Zimmer. It got some great African choir and instrumentals in some places, and even doses of regular choir and instrumentals, but all of it was made to be huge and epic, and all of it sounds terrific. Even the animation is amazing. Seeing all of the grand landscapes of the African Serengeti looks beautiful and vibrant. The colors and looks for the songs are great highlights, bringing such big energy and appeal to them. And the Wildebeest Stampede, at the time, was a nice use of the computer graphics program called CAPS. And yes, this is standard to see nowadays, but it was a visual achievement back then, and it still impresses me to see it again, just for the sake of having CG characters with hand-drawn characters and backgrounds, much like the scene in Beauty and the Beast but slightly reversed. And, on a personal and educational note, here's a little known fact that might surprise you. You know the shot where Nala licks Simba and Simba looks surprised? Well, that shot, and one or two others, were animated by Michael Gins, who was an animator on film and television projects, including with Disney, such as Mulan, Bonkers, Hercules, Ferngully, He-Man, just to name a few. Now, why am I bringing him up? Because believe it or not, he later went on to be an animation professor at Edinburgh University of Pennsylvania, which is where I not only graduated from and majored in traditional animation at, but it's where I met him and was taught by him in 2 or 3 classes within my sophomore and senior year. So yes, you could say that I was taught by a Disney animator, and funny enough, I didn't realize he was until learning about it from him during his classes. And how big of a coincidence is that? One of my favorite movies of all has a former Disney animator working at it, and then teaching at a college that I went to and getting a chance to meet and be taught by him. It's almost as big as getting to meet other people, like Doug and Rob Walker, Dante Bosco, Steve Bloom, and John Waters. Which, I unfortunately don't have a picture of him with me as it's on a phone I don't have anymore, so here's a picture of a Pink Flamingos DVD with his signature on it that I got. So that's gotta count, right? And the actors who led their voices to the characters did a very good job. James Earl Jones voices Mufasa, Jonathan Taylor Thomas voices young Simba, Matthew Broderick voices adult Simba, Rowan Atkinson voices Zazu, Jeremy Irons voices Scar, Nathan Lane voices Timon, Ernie Isabella voices Pumbaa, Nika Kalami Harris voices young Nala, Maura Kelly voices adult Nala, Whoopi Goldberg voices Senzi, Cheech Marin voices Banzai, Jim Cummings voices Ed, Robert Gilliroom voices Rafiki, and Madge Sinclair voices Sarabi. As a whole, this movie is still great. The characters are fun, the story is wonderful, the animation is epic, and the songs are catchy and enjoyable. Directors Roger Allers and Rob Minkoff have made a movie that's on such a grand scale that it still holds up after 25 years. From the timeless happy and sad moments, to the beautiful scope of the African Serengeti, to the powerful African style and original music, and to all the wonderful and brilliant animation that exists. Sure, the remake has 1 or 2 neat changes and only the cast and music make up for it, but it can never compare to the immense power and fun of this, the original. I still love every second of this grand and glorious film, as it's definitely the biggest and most epic, and will never be forgotten or topped. And it looks like it will remain that way for years to come. So today, this movie gave a rating of 4 stars. So thank you for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Facebook or Twitter, support me on Patreon, and until next time for a new video. And now, if you'll excuse me, I got a certain holiday to cover.